I believe that everything happens for a reason. People change, so we learn to let go. Things go wrong, so we can appreciate them when they're right. We believe lies, so we eventually trust no one but ourselves. And sometimes even good things fall apart, so even better things can come together. This is one of my favorite quotes by Marilyn Monroe. In October 2010, the world learned that Marilyn was not only an amazing model, actress, and singer, but she was also a very, very intelligent woman, very talented on paper as well. October 2010, a new book was published entitled Fragments, Poems, Intimate Notes, and Letters by Marilyn Monroe. This was bits and pieces of her writings that were found after her death that were put together and published into a book for her fans. Reading those writings, it amazes me to see how totally different she was on paper. The movie industry always put her off as a type bubbly, dumb blonde person, and really, she wasn't that at all. But unfortunately, due to the movies that she was forced to make, that's what the world knew her as. So when you read the book, it reveals that she wanted the world to take her more seriously. So that's the way that she was able to express her seriousness and her intelligence. She did it in her writings. It also reveals how passionate she was about her work, how she strived to perfect her art. She was the type of person who was very scared to disappoint others, and that comes from her loveless childhood. Marilyn's worst fear was to disappoint those that she loves. So it really revealed how passionate she was about her work and how hard she strived just so that she would please everyone else. And also, speaking of her loveless childhood, she was born on June 1st, 1926, in Los Angeles. She was born into a very unstable home. Her father was never known, and her mother suffered from mental illnesses. Her mother's name was Gladys Monroe Baker, and Marilyn was actually born as Norma Jean Mortensen, but then later baptized as Norma Jean Baker due to her father not being known. So she took her mother's married name. Also, about 2 weeks into her mother taking care of her, she realizes that she doesn't have a stable enough home to raise a child, so she gave her up for adoption. But Gladys was in and out of Norma Jean's life, and it was on occasion, so Norma never knew her biological mother as her mother. She only knew her as the red-headed woman who came to visit her. Eventually, when Norma Jean was 9 years old, she was old enough to understand, and she went and lived with Gladys, and that lasted for about 3 months. After 3 months was up, the mother was taken away to a psychiatric clinic because she still suffered and struggled with her mental illnesses. When she was 16 years old, she married James Doherty. He was her then boyfriend and neighbor, and he was 21 years old. They married on June 19th, 1942. They got married because Norma Jean faced a possible relocation to another orphanage because her then custodians were moving from Los Angeles all the way to the East Coast in West Virginia, and they couldn't afford to take her with them. So they got married. She lived with his parents while he joined the service. While he was away, she got a part-time modeling career, and he was not very happy with that at all. He was very uncomfortable with her modeling, didn't like it. So he basically gave her an ultimatum and said, you can choose between your career or you can choose between your marriage. And of course, Norma Jean chose her career because it was her dream. She didn't want anything to stop her from, having everyone love her because she never had that as a child. So it was her dream. So she divorced him after 4 years of marriage. They divorced in 1946. And as soon as they divorced, that's when she cut her hair, dyed it blonde, and changed her name to the very famous name, Marilyn Monroe. Her second marriage was to Joe DiMaggio. They married on January 14th, 1954. Their marriage was very brief, but they had this type of relationship where they connected very well. They loved each other very much. However, her career got in the way again. Joe DiMaggio was a retired Yankee Clipper who wanted more of a home life and more traditional marriage that Marilyn could not provide for him because of her very busy career. It was very brief, and their marriage ended after 9 months, October of 1954. On June 29th, 1956, she got married for the third time, her third and final marriage, to playwright Arthur Miller. Due to a downfall between them two, they divorced after her very last film, The Misfits. He was actually the writer of her very last film. But soon after that, she entered a psychiatric clinic. She struggled with tardiness on set, very severe emotional disturbance. She was actually let go after she left the psychiatric clinic and she went back to work. They let her go from the set because she was so emotionally disturbed that she couldn't work. She became addicted to sleeping pills, and very soon after everyone realized that something was wrong, she was found dead on August 4th, 1962, in her Brentwood, California home. She was only 36 years old, and she was found dead with a bottle of sleeping pills beside her, an empty bottle of sleeping pills. So the conclusion was that her death was caused by a suicide overdose. Her second husband, Joe DiMaggio, actually did the wedding plans, planned everything for her. There was actually rumors that went around that they were supposed to get remarried 2 days before her death. Not sure how true that is, but it was rumored they were supposed to get remarried, and he actually had a half a dozen of red roses sent to her gravesite 3 times a week for 20 years. They still loved each other, is what was rumored, and of course he had to love her to send her that many roses. At the time of her death, the world basically looked for villains, somebody that could hurt her, that would want to, take her away, but they didn't want to face the truth that such a brilliant, beautiful, talented person could do this to themselves, especially not Marilyn, with her beautiful personality that she had. It's really hard to see that she could do this to herself and do this to her fans. She was a beautiful person who was very talented in many, many ways, and she appeared in 29 films. She was actually recording her 30th film at the time of her death. And Marilyn's popularity continues to grow with each generation. New fans discover her talent every day. So it's amazing to me how this woman passed away, this idol passed away years ago, and with every generation she becomes more and more popular, and little girls and women everywhere just love her and idolize her and want to be just like her. Also, just like to add that her beauty and fame and her popularity will never be forgotten. Thank you.